In ancient Scandinavia and Germanic Europe, a mead hall, a feasting hall, was initially simply a large building with a single room. For the 5th century to early medieval times, such a building was the residence of a lord and his retainers. The mead hall was generally the great hall of the king. Etymology: the old name of such halls may have been Sala, and thus be present in old place names such as Uppsala. The meaning has been preserved in German Saal, Dutch Zaal, Icelandic Salur, Swedish, Norwegian and Danish Sal, Lithuanian Sale, Finnish Sali, French Sal, Italian, Polish, Spanish Sala and Russian. In Old English, seal and sile were used. These words are etymologically related to the modern English words salon and saloon. Archaeology: from around the year 500 up until the Christianization of Scandinavia, these large halls were vital parts of the political center. They were later superseded by medieval banquet halls. Examples that have been excavated include, southwest of Letta, Denmark, remains of a Viking hall complex were uncovered in 1986–88 by Tom Crispinson of the Roskilde Museum. Wood from the foundation was radiocarbon dated to circa 880. It was later found that this hall was built over an older hall which was itself dated to 680. In 2004–05, Crispinson excavated a third hall located just north of the other two. This hall was built in the mid-6th century, exactly the time period of Beowulf. All three halls were about 50 meters long. Gudme, Denmark. Two similar halls were excavated in 1993. Of the so-called Gudme Kongehill, only the post holes were found. The larger of the two was 47 meters long and 8 meters wide. Gold items found near the site have been dated between 200 and 550. The Iron Age graveyards of Mollegardsmarken and Brudedre are close by. The halls may have been part of a regional religious and political center serving as royal feasting places, with Lundborg serving as harbour. Precursor: the mead hall developed from European longhouses. The unrelated Neolithic longhouse was introduced with the first farmers of Central and Western Europe around 5000 BC. Later longhouses did not come into use until more than 1,000 years after the Neolithic version ceased to be used. Germanic cattle farmer longhouses emerged along the southwest and North Sea coast in the 3rd or 4th century BC in the predecessors of the German and Dutch Fachallenhaus, a Low German house. The possibly related medieval longhouse types of Europe, of which some examples have survived, are among others, the Scandinavian Viking langhus, with the variants of traditional farmhouse such as excavated in Vorbase, a garrison barracks type for warriors such as found at the Viking ring castles, and the sophisticated large banqueting halls such as the Mead halls. The southwest England variants in Dartmoor in Wales, the northwest England type in Cumbria, the Scottish longhouse Blackhouse or Taille in Dover, the French long era Maison Long. Legends and history. There are several accounts of large feasting halls constructed for important feasts when Scandinavian royalty was invited. According to a legend recorded by Snorri Sturluson in the Heimskringla, the late 9th century Värmlandish chief Naki invited both the Norwegian King Harald Fairhair and the Swedish King Erik Irmansson, but had the Norwegian king stay in the newly constructed and sumptuous one, because he was the youngest one of the kings and the one who had the greatest prospects. The older Swedish king, on the other hand, had to stay in the old feasting hall. The Swedish king was so humiliated that he killed Aki. The construction of new feasting halls could also be the preparation for treacherous murders of royalty. In the Ynglinga saga, part of the Heimskringla, Snorri relates how, in the 8th century, the legendary Swedish king Ingjald constructed a large feasting hall solely for the purpose of burning all his subordinate petty kings late at night when they were asleep. According to Ingvar's saga Vithfalla, the same ruse was done by the Swedish king Erik the Victorious and the Norwegian ruler Sigurd Jarl, when they murdered Aki, a rebellious Swedish sub-king, at Gamla Uppsala in the late 10th century. Mythology. From at least the 10th century onwards in Norse mythology, there are numerous examples of halls where the dead may arrive. The best-known example is Valhalla, the hall where Odin receives half of the dead lost in battle. Freyr, in turn, receives the other half at Sessrumnir. The story of Beowulf includes a Mead hall called Hjorat that was so big and had so much attendant laughter that the monster Grendel broke in and slaughtered the noisemakers. In fiction, in J.R. Tolkien's fictional universe of Middle-earth, Meduseld was the Great Golden Hall built in Rohan. Meduseld was a large hall with a straw roof which made it appear as if it were made out of gold when seen from far off. Its walls were richly decorated with tapestries depicting the history and legends of the Rohirrim, and it served as a house for the king and his kin, a meeting hall for the king and his advisors, and a gathering hall. Also, a mead hall is the central location of Bjorn's home grounds, where he serves mead and food to Bilbo Baggins, the dwarves, and Gandalf in The Hobbit. In the Elder Scrolls by Bethesda Softworks, a race called the Nords, who resemble Scandinavians, build large mead halls, such as Joravaska found in Elder Scrolls v. Skyrim.